Welcome back. We're here with Assemblyman Don Guardian of New Jersey, 2nd Legislative District. Don, listen, let's jump right into this. COLA. It's been going around, the whispers, the comments, the rumors. What's the deal with COLA?
Cost of living adjustment. What happened is back in 2011, the then governor, not this governor, the governor before him, had some financial problems budgeting. And so he decided to not offer the cost of living adjustment for people that work for the state, the city, the municipalities, and things like that. So 2011 never was brought back. It was supposed to be for a year or two. So from 2011 to 2024, you have a 42% increase because of inflation, but they're still living at the rate that they got back in 2011. For a policeman or fireman, if that's their only job, they don't get to collect their Social Security. So there's no Social Security. This is it. Their pension here, and they're living at 2011 raise. Just not fair. So what happened is we were able to get it through committees in both the state, Senate, and the Assembly. I'm happy to have jumped on as a co-sponsor, passed without any problem, passed the Senate, the Assembly, so Mayor signed it on. But you'll see for police and fire, they'll get the COLA. Now, it's not going to be retroactive for the last 25 years that they lost it on, but at least moving forward.
Right. Will it be moved up to the point where it should be at this? Okay,
right.
Got it,
So you'll get it. It'll be every year adjusted based on the cost of living. It's about 2%. You know, last year was 3.5%. Depends on inflation.
So that's great news for our brothers and sisters out there. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, 10 years since the original casino pilot. The arrangement is set up for reauthorization. I could go into a bunch right here. We spoke about it briefly. Talk to us a little bit what it means. Let folks know, first of all, what the pilot means, some of our listening and viewer audience.
Yeah. We haven't adjusted the cost of the value of casino property or, for that matter, the rest of the city. So they haven't had an adjustment. The city had one adjustment, didn't include casinos. Now, I can tell you that means on the record, the Ocean Casino is valued at $1.3 billion. When they do a reassessment, they're going to come in at half a billion, 500 million or so. So almost the entire time that casinos have been here, you can divide the city in half. Half of the assessed values belong to casinos, half of the assessed values belongs to everyone that's not a casino. So all the business and homeowners. And so if you looked at the amount of cash that was coming in, is about the same. With all the fights and a real bad reevaluation that happened before I was mayor, casinos filed tax appeals, and everybody in the city filed tax appeals too. When I say everybody, there's only 12,500 property tax owners, and there was 13,000 property tax files. So it means everyone averaged 2 tax appeals that they won. That wasn't a casino. The point is, you couldn't go on like this. We lost 85% of the value of the city. The city was, for all intents and purposes, bankrupt. So what happened is the pilot came in, the casino says, look, we just don't want the city coming in and telling us, you know, in 3 years that a property is worth 3 times what it's worth. We want some consistency. So how about we agree to what we paid in 2013 for the next 10 years. If our gross gaming revenue goes up more than $200 million, we increase our amount to the city by $10 million. If it goes down $200 million, it gets cut $10 million. Now, back then, I can tell you, in the closed-door sessions that we had, we said, we can't lose any more casinos. We lost 4. Let's keep them alive until internet and sports gaming comes along, and there'll be another a bit of revenue for them. Casinos at the time, no one was jumping and thinking that internet or sports gaming was going to be as successful as it is now, which is 50% of the income that's coming in. Anyway, the pilot was established. It runs out in 2026. So you either go back to having them pay taxes or you go back to a pilot. But what my concern is, it's not just a pilot we're looking at. So the pilot, depending on the year, looking at the last 10 years and stuff, it's about $40 or $50 million a year. But besides that, the casinos also pay into the CRDA, and what we talked about as IATs, and that's $40 or $5 million or $50 million a year. That also goes to the city. It's dedicated only to paying off city debt. But nonetheless, instead of paying $50 million, casinos are paying $100 million. The idea was we were waiting for internet and sports gaming. But in 2021, the Assembly, the Senate, the governor said, hey, internet and sports gaming, those revenues should not be included for the city or for the county or for the city schools. Now, while they're saying that, you heard the lines that if they took the $50 million and paid the city and the county and the schools, that would close 4 casinos. But they didn't tell you at the time that the state was getting $100 million in taxes from internet and sports gaming. Last year, the state got $300 million. That didn't close any casinos, did it? And things. All we're asking is for a fair share back. And Denny has been fighting for the county, and I'm all behind him and stuff. He should be fighting because the county property tax owners aren't getting their fair share. Atlantic City and Atlantic City schools aren't getting their fair share. So that's the second part. The other one is we also have money that has been dedicated to pay off bonds, to pay for what is now the walk coming into Atlantic City, all those businesses, and the convention center. Had a 30-year bond. That money is coming from the taxes that are collected on cars and the luxury tax and stuff. Both of those bonds should be paid off in the next 2 years. So we've got to see where that money goes. So we shouldn't get all happy with saying we demand $1 million, $5 million, $10 million more in the pilot and then lose out on the IATs. Now, some of the IATs needs to go back to CRDA so we can do the development that we need. Let's get businesses to build here. Let's get people to build homes here, and let's help them along the way. So the pilot is, we want it to go forward. We want people in Atlantic County, property owners, and property owners in Atlantic City, and that's business and residents, to be getting their fair share, but we also want to have a healthy business that we call gaming. So we want to make sure gaming's ahead. We see esports coming in soon, right, that we hope will help too, and that those esports, it's called a skin, that we hope only esports comes from the existing brick and mortar that's in Atlantic City and the 2 racetracks that are in New Jersey. So that's long term where the income is going to come from. And I just want to tell you is the city gets a lot of money from the state. So the schools get $125 million a year. So if you cut that, you didn't get ahead and stuff. The city gets money through a program called CompTRA, which is Combined Municipal Tax Relief. And it also gets money from what's called the Energy Excise Tax. And then they get another program which is called Transitional Aid, which is all being used in Atlantic City. So we've got to look at the big picture, right, to make sure that the bottom line is the cash coming out is going to be better for us and the casinos are healthy.
Definitely being healthy and also going into the future. I mean, we got to look beyond 5, 10 years and beyond.
And so, as a businessman, casinos are saying, the best thing we can do is lay out what the next 10 years are so we can plan for our projections and stuff, because we don't want to spend another couple $100 million in the next 10 years on each of our properties if we think we can't control the amount of taxes that we're going to pay.
Exactly. Listen, we're going to be talking more about that as we get into the season.
It's a hot issue in the next year and a half.
Definitely is, and we're going to be going to you for it. The BPU announced in February that it will be allowing Atlantic City Electric, ACE, to raise its rate 17% in June, an average increase $28 per taxpayer, residential type. What can you do, Don? Share your thoughts on that. I mean, because I know we've talked about it before as well.
So this is outrageous. First of all, the BPU just automatically approved this for Atlantic City Electric. They're going to do the same thing for JCP&L as well. So it's going to involve the whole state. But the BPU is appointed by the governor and things like that. Get rid of the whole BPU and stuff. That's number one. But that doesn't solve our problem. What I see it is long term. We were so excited about offshore wind and all these other new type of technology that was going to give us energy, electricity and stuff, that we closed the nuclear plant that was in Forked River, and we closed the coal plant that was in Upper Township and things. So you took 2 major producers of energy out, and then he said, oh, like, we don't have enough energy anymore. We always had enough energy. We sold it to the other 13 states that are in this pool. Now we have to buy it from them. And so the cost of that went up. In ACE's example, they were so proud that they put these new meters on a house that they said was going to be so much better. Millions of dollars. Now they're passing it on. So the bottom line is, you can't pass it on to the consumers. Consumers didn't do anything wrong. You had found $1 billion to give. That's right, would it be? When we were doing offshore wind, let's use that $1 billion in the budget of the $55 billion a year budget and stuff, and pay for this increase. It shouldn't be passed on to taxpayers. I have a bill that the Office of Legislative Services is putting together that does exactly that. I know some of my other colleagues, both in the Senate and the Assembly, have said we shouldn't be paying for these meters, and that we need an investigation of how this could go on and things like that. You know, we're saying this is unfair. We have another bill when it talks to schools that if a school district is getting cut, it shouldn't be more than 2%. So you want to cut them 10%, yeah, do that 2% a year over 5 years. But we shouldn't be closing schools or getting rid of teachers. In this case, that's going to kill us. And when you talk about trying to get more people to buy electric cars or to buy hybrids and things like that, you raise the price 25% now, 18% now, 8% last year, and the future is going to cost even more. It's not going to pay to plug in your car. It's cheaper to buy gasoline and things like that. So this is a really bad program. This affects everyone, and it affects poor families more than rich. So, you know, let's just, you know, use common sense. Your bill goes up $40 a month for electricity. You make $300,000 a year household income. It's a little hit there. You're not going out for steak once a month and things. You make $50,000 with that family. This is really hurting you and stuff. You're going to have trouble paying the mortgage or paying for food or paying for the gas to heat your house.
You definitely feel it. And listen, Don, I want to say this. I mean, we could go on, and we will on the radio show as well, here on the Mike Lopez Show on TV as well with Stockton. I want to thank you personally as a resident of Atlantic County, Atlantic City as well, for what you, Claire Swift, Senator Palestina have done. I mean, you go through this. We have a good time talking when we're off air, but the seriousness in which you take your job as a public servant cannot be matched. So I really want to appreciate you. Tell folks where they can find. Yeah.
So, you know, I want to credit all of our staff because they handle about 10,000 calls a year. And they're for unemployment, the problems with your taxes, you're getting thrown out of your house. Some of these things we have nothing to do with, but our staff is knowledgeable enough that they're going to bring in Jewish Family Services or Catholic Charities or Salvation Army, or they're going to reach out and tell you where there are food banks all over South Jersey that can help you out and things. So providing that type of constituent services is real important because by the time they get to us, they just have given up. They don't know who to call or where to go and things like that. So we're always excited about helping people. We have an office both in Atlantic City as well as Egg Harbor Township, and we hire staff to try to represent our community. So of course we speak English and Spanish, but we also speak Mandarin, we speak Hindi, we speak Bengali. So we try to make people comfortable, especially if English isn't your first language.
Love it. Listen, that's what you do. Thanks again to Assemblyman Don Guardian of New Jersey's 2nd Legislative District. Don, I want to thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you as a friend, appreciate you as a public servant and what you do.
And being a resident of Atlantic City, I'm thrilled that you're going to be moving back in, and congratulations being part of the Northeast Inlet.
That's it, the inlet it is. Folks, we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Stay where you're at.